Yo, what's up, my dude? This is a quick demo video for your custom Saber that you made and sent to me to install for you. Kind of a trade for work. You made my scrap flex. It's really cool. I don't have it in front of me, but I plan on doing that maybe next Friday. But I want to get yours done first, obviously, right? So I got your Saber here, and then also you asked for custom Old Republic etch on your brass shroud that you sent me. So I'll be sending this in your package as well. Hopefully you can kind of see that in the light, but if not, I sent you some pictures of it. This is obviously installed the Proffie that you provided, though I did swap it out this morning. So I've got your old Proffie here. I had thought it was something to do with the SD card holder, but I Googled it, or I didn't Google it a little bit. I was searching for it in the Proffie groups because I thought I remembered seeing something about it, and I found it with these Tesco boards, and you'll never be able to see that from here, but it says Tesco right here. I'm not going to go into who provides them or where you can get them, but these are boards that I used to buy as well, but I stopped buying them because they do sometimes have an issue with reading the SD card. It will say font directory not found, which will typically mean like you have one of your fonts mislabeled in between the font folder and your config. But sometimes I turn on your Saber 6 times, and out of 6 times, 2 of those times I get a font directory not found. But then the rest of the time it'll read it. I tried OS 6, I tried OS 5.9, everything was the same. So what I ended up doing is I just swapped it out for a board, for a brand new board, and I get my boards from Carl Chen over at CC Sabers, and I don't ever have any problems with them. Okay, but anyway, it's working great now. 2 button setup. Your main switch here is your red switch. Your activate or your auxiliary is that little brass tactile that you have right behind it, which I thought was a really cool place for it. I did replace the tactile switch as well, but that's no big deal. It still worked, but the metal housing was a little rough on one side. But 5 millimeter tactile switch right there, so that works well. Your crystal chamber. So as you know, because you built it, but for anybody that's watching, you do have a quartz crystal right underneath or right behind the brass fins there. Um, Normally, what I would do is I'd take my NeoPixel accent and I'd glue it right to the bottom of the crystal, but I didn't do it like that on this one. I did make sure that the crystal is the same color as your blade because I know you like that. So what I did was I actually had a pixel holder on my chassis. So when I slid my chassis in, it's holding the pixel for the bottom half of the crystal. And then for your NeoPixel connector, which is a CC Sabers, by the way, I made a custom PCB holder, and then I wired and glued a secondary NeoPixel accent right underneath that that's facing this way. So this crystal gets shine through from the top and the bottom. Okay, so that's what's going on there. We'll just unscrew the handle. Right here, you have this very nice metal sleeve. You wanted a kill switch that you could access. Let me get a pair of tweezers. You wanted a kill switch that you could access and not take the sleeve off. So I made sure to make sure that it was accessible from right here. Maybe you could possibly see that, but with a pair of tweezers, you can easily flip that on and off. The sleeve is a little deceiving, as you know, because about right here or so, it changes diameter and it no longer fits a 28 millimeter speaker. So my chassis stops, about right here. And I got that kill switch as close to the speaker as I could possibly get. I mean, I cut the prongs down to nothing to solder to make sure that I made that hole work for you. And it does. Okay. Made sure that these 2 slots in your sleeve had some shine through. So you've got there's a 3 pixel accent on both sides, although I just put 5 holes because I wanted to mix it up a little bit. There's 5 holes in the chassis, but it all shines through. So you got 5 over here, and you got another, 5 holes over here. But to get to the actual chassis, you just want to unscrew this. This is a cool sleeve. I've never seen quite a setup like this before, where the sleeve is what ties into the Saber and the handle ties into the back of the sleeve. So I thought that was cool. But when you open the handle, rather, or the sleeve, this is your chassis. So you got your accents here, the 28 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost dark side that you provided. Another 3 pixel accent over here. Removable battery setup, nice and clean. I try to keep it nice and clean for you. your Proffie board. Now your Proffie is a tight snap fit down into the shelf, super tight. So I didn't glue it down or anything. You can get to your SD card and your micro USB from right here. You never have to move the board. You will find a copy of the config file on your SD card that I used. It has a very special name that will jump out to you right away. Let's throw a battery in. This is my rough battery. If you're going to have a brand new battery, you need to use one that does not have the sticker on it. It doesn't have to be missing pieces of the wrap like mine, but no sticker, okay? So I'm going to put that in there real quick. We will not flip the kill switch until we put the sleeve on. Very snug fit, but it all goes in. Ideally, I would have the metal strip that runs from one side of the battery to the other. I would have that facing outside of the chassis, but since mine is exposed, I put that in the chassis and it makes it super tight. So if your wrap is intact, you could make that stick outside of the chassis and you won't have as difficult of a time as I am putting the sleeve on. All right, but twist that down so your LEDs line up. You can see that this kind of lines up with your box. It's a little hard to tell now, but when you get it in person, you'll be able to, whoops, there's one more turn, sorry. There's a dead space on your brass sleeve that lines up with your control box. So it's a straight line, right? And then it makes the everything line up. So from there, we can come over here with a pair of tweezers and flip the kill switch. Just like that. So everything's good to go. You know, if we turn this on, you wanted scrolling, so I changed that to a scroll for you. It does react to auxiliary being pressed though. Crystal chamber. We'll dive more into the crystal chamber when I put a blade in. But for now, we'll just throw the handle on just like that. One thing I did do, well, two modifications I did. Since this middle piece came off, it pretty much just unscrewed. I didn't want the wires getting twisted for the NeoPixel connector. So I did glue these down, the threads that lock this piece into this piece, glued it down so the wires wouldn't twist. And then your blade retention was super low. I don't even think it clears the PCB holder. And I had to make a big PCB holder to clear the top of your crystal chamber because it had that weird little nub on it, as you know, from Saber Forge. I didn't want to touch that. And I wanted to run my NeoPixel accent right on top of it because there's a hole in the middle. So in order to do that, I had to make my pixel connector a little big. And then I went back through and drilled and tapped a secondary blade retention up close to the emitter, okay? So we come over here and hit power. That's firing up like it should. Crystal chamber, nice and bright. This does not have motion controls on it because I know you don't care for that. And it takes a 1-inch blade. All right, so we'll throw a blade in here, lock it down. This is the Son of Corellia sound font. Good flash on class. To get blade lock up, you want to hold down aux and hit the saber. Right here, right? Move up and down the blade, depending on how you move the saber. Right here. Right here. And of course, it'll stay like that until you let go of it. We'll go to another font. To play your soundtrack on each of your fonts, it's a long press on the button when the saber's off. And another long press to turn off.
Tell me, is this training?
My training? No. Always training. The universe is.
I went through your SD card and picked the most Jedi-like sound fonts that you had. There weren't very many of those in particular to choose from, but we got a few.
I won't make it easy! You've killed enough!
This one has some nice bass to it. This one I left blue because I want to show you how to change color. So if you want to change color, hold down aux and hit power. You'll hear that noise. Now you can just twist the saber, right? Find whatever color we want. You want that yellow, hit power. Now we got a yellow blade. Of course, yellow crystal chamber. Just like that. And then we will take the blade out of here. I'll show you one more time. The chassis in yellow. And then, as you know, you don't need to take the battery out, but I will because this is my special battery. But anyway. So it lights up the whole thing. Until we come over here and flip the kill switch. And it kills everything just like it should, right? So I'll take this battery back out so I don't forget it. May need a tool because it's a pretty tight fit in there. It'll come right out. And that is basically your custom saber. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, I will get this out in the mail to you come Monday. Okay? Thanks, man.